Hello, and welcome to the 73rd episode of Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous. I am your host, Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo. Well, 24 hours ago, you would never thought that I would be standing up here doing an episode. In fact, I'm questioning myself standing up here doing an episode as it is. 24 hours ago, I looked like this. Now, I suffer from acute systemic reactions when brought in contact to pine resin. I could touch it anywhere. I could shake the hands of somebody that was working with it. I could have it touch a toe, touch a pinky finger, and still I break out like that and all over my body. Once before, back in 2010, I was in the hospital for a few days. In fact, at one point, the doctors told my mom it wasn't looking so good, and they actually brought in a priest. And then finally, a amazing diagnostician that was able to put the dots together and figure out that it had come in contact with the pine resin and that it was the culprit, and they started treating me for that. Since then, I've had it another 4 or 5 times, this being the worst. And if I didn't get myself to the emergency room / urgent care center yesterday, I probably would have been back in that position in a hospital, spending a couple of days. Still, I'm going to be out of work until Friday because I'm on heavy doses of steroids and still under observation. As you can hear, I'm labored in breathing, and it's okay. This isn't about me, but I'm just trying to explain to you why I have the puffy cheeks and went overboard on the makeup to cover up the disgustingness that was that. All right. Star Citizen information is starting to come out of CIG headquarters all over the world again. And it's a great thing, right? We started to see a whole bunch of added shows, 10 for the artists, 10 for the devs. Lisa Ohanian is doing her ship shape every single week. So we're starting to see a lot of information come out of there. And this past week, we had updates. Well, the biggest update being this. Actually, the Scythe, it's starting to fly now. Now, the Scythe is a ship that was added so many years ago. I could say that. It's 2015. And it was actually added at the beginning of the campaign. And it was done at a time when CIG probably didn't expect there to be so many backers. We're closing in on 1 million right now. And because of that, they offered it as a single sale. Like they were only going to offer these once, trying to drum up the money during one of the campaigns after, I believe it was after the initial campaign. And essentially what happened was they sold them for $350. That's what I believe. They go for a fair bit more on the gray market these days. And that was it. There was one sale and it was over. Kind of like one of the Idrises. I think the Idris M. It was around once and then it was gone. Well, now we have 1 million people and about 910,000. We're getting closer. And those decisions made so long ago are something that CIG has to live with now that there might be 600 of those million that are going, why can't we have it? Well, the truth of it is there are many ways that we can have it, and we'll talk about those in a few minutes. So the lore behind the way that civilians get their hands on the Scythe in-game or in the universe is beyond me. I have no idea what that could be, but who cares? That is a cool-ass ship. I love the way it flies. I love the way it looks. So what happens? How do you get a Scythe to fly? Well, when you pick them up, they're ergonomically designed for the biology of a Vandal. And with them flying it in the prone position, it really does make it very difficult for a human being to fly it. So they have to go under extensive modifications. And because of that, they're sent off to one of the #1 military spacecraft manufacturers in the UEE right now, and that's Anvil Aerospace. And they upgrade the cockpit and all the systems, and they do a lot of modifications to make it so we can fly it, so civilians can fly it. And that's what you get in the end. A amazing HUD, amazing flight model, and it's wonderful. Well, let's talk about how you might be able to get your hands on one. Well, I don't like talking about the gray market, not that I have anything against it, but sometimes I feel like if I talk about it, I might talk somebody into doing something that they can be taken for. So be wary about the gray market, but no, that is a place to get them. The other way to get them is probably to partake in Operation Pitchfork. Now, Operation Pitchfork is going to be a player-run, huge operation to take back Tiber and Orion and put them under UEE control once and for all. But not by the military, by civilians, by us, the players in the game. And in doing so, we're going to come up against a lot of Vanduul spacecraft. So you might be one of the people that's actually able to get off a pilot shot and then go in and salvage one of the Vanduul Scythes. So what do you do with it then? All right, so you're not going to be able to fly it. You're not going to be able to weaponize it. You're going to have to take it and fly it or ferry it over to Anvil Aerospace, where it's going to take a boatload of time and a boatload of UEC to upgrade it so you can fly it in the game. And that makes sense to me because that's the way it should be when you're looking at Vanduul spacecraft. I like that way of doing it as opposed to forcing CIG to make it available for everyone. Well, there's a third way that you can fly it too. Well, actually a third and fourth way. We'll talk about the third way first. CIG is going to have a number of free fly weekends. And during those free fly weekends, you are actually going to be able to fly the Scythe. That's not going to be out for some time. They'll announce it when it does happen. But there's a fourth way to do it. And that's as an Imperator level subscriber. You'll get one ship to fly it 1 day per month. And that, I think, that will be a great thing. But only in Arena Commander. But still, even being able to fly that in Arena Commander, that's going to be just amazing. I can't wait for that day to come so I can fly my very own Scythe for that 1 day. Now, I am going to be partaking in Operation Pitchfork, and I implore all of my viewers to do so also. It is an amazing operation that's going to be taking place, and it's bound to make the Guinness Book of World Records for the most participated in online experience or online engagement ever. At least we hope. I don't know what those would be like in Asia, right? They have some pretty amazing online games that probably have had many people in them, but this will be phenomenal. It will be epic. So make sure you join us. In other news, a fuel depot was destroyed last week in the Oberon system, and it was destroyed by an unknown spacecraft of Vanduul design. And these are some of the images that were captured by, I'd like to say survivors, but there were none, by some of the victims that they had on their communication devices. Now, the ship measures about 124 meters in length and launches high-yield torpedoes. Many of them were launched at this fuel depot. This, to me, looks like the Vanduul are taking notice of all the raids that we've been able to do with our Aegis Dynamics Retaliator bombers on them the past few decades. Now, the Aegis Dynamics Retaliators have been becoming a little bit aged and may be replaced in the near future as they are dumping a boatload of them on the civilian population. But the Vanduul take notice of things that work for us, so maybe we should. And maybe those Retaliator bombers are something that we need to upgrade and keep in the forward lines of service. Nonetheless, the ship looks amazing, and it looks like the Vanguard is coming on active duty just in time, especially now that it's being offered to civilians over in the Borderland worlds. So for those of you in the Borderland worlds looking for something that could protect you against these bombers that are starting to take out fuel depots out there, the Vanguard is going to be it. All right, that is an amazing ship, right? Amazing. And the Vanduul have made it, and they are bringing it to us. They are bringing the fight back to us, and we really need to stand our ground here. Arena Commander is shortly going to be joined by 2 more modules, those being the Star Marine module and the Social module. Both of these are going to start to bring in an immense amount of players that aren't just here for the space combat. There'll be the Social module. You can meet and greet all your friends around ArcCorp, or the Star Marine module, where you'll be able to shoot your friends in the face. Now, these are going to be bringing on a lot more people, and thus these 2 modules have been delayed because the server code needs to be upgraded, rewritten, and, well, pretty much tuned to be capable of handling all the extra concurrent connections that are going to happen because of these 2 modules. This is going to be a huge game with 1 million backers playing at one time on one shard. This isn't like Call of Duty or like a modern or like Battlefield where you have multiple servers that you can get in 32 player or 64 player combat. This is a single universe with up to a few 100,000 people connected at any one time worldwide. And that is code that I am just glad that we have the professionals at CIG putting together. Still, we have these three modules looking like they're not the only ones that we're going to be seeing. So that's Arena Commander, that's the first-person shooter, Star Marine, and it's also the social module. What we're also going to be getting is an upgrade to the Arena Commander module. So we have two amazing and huge events coming up in the future. In the near future, we have Gamescom, where I predict, and obviously it's nobody's actually that shocked at this one, that Arena Commander 2.0, the bigger fighting spaces in space, and the multi-crew ships are going to be released. Well, not released. They're going to be revealed at Gamescom and come out sometime after that. That's a big step forward in that we can now actually bring our friends along with us and to man our turrets and to take up command of some systems. Damage control, ECM, radar, weapons. It's going to be a wonderful time for Star Citizen. And then you look forward to October when CitizenCon falls on Manchester. And what are we going to see there? Well, I don't know what they're going to call it. Maybe it's going to be Arena Commander 3.0. But I think what they're going to reveal to us there is the congealing of the modules into one coherent, one cohesive piece of work, and thus starting the beta. That's a reveal to us. It's not going to be a release to us. That too is something that we will see later next year, as I believe that Squadron 42's release in December will precede any further development of that beta client. But we're going to be able to get to see the merging of these three things together at CitizenCon. So you'll see something like someone working from ArcCorp out to their ship, going up into space, taking on combat, having boarders get on a ship and then having to repel them or being taken over, whichever way they go to show us. I think that this is the next 6 months of development that we'll be seeing from them. The congealing of all these modules into one cohesive game, one beta game that we'll begin to test next year. Until then, the three modules will exist separately, and we'll get to them in different ways. It is true that the social module will be able to be gotten to from within the hangar. That's what I hear at this point. But the FPS Star Marine will be a separate launch, I believe. I'm not sure about that at this point. All right. So this week on 10 for the Artists, you had Forrest Forrest and someone else, I forgot their name, talking about the customizations that we'll be able to see. They talked about a lot, so we're out there and listen to it. But something that intrigued me was that when I look at the 900,000 people that are now backers and the one shard mentality that we're taking on, that's a lot of people. So they need to have a very rich and dynamic and massively differentiating character builder. And because of that, they need to be able to show each and everybody different, right? Maybe I'm being redundant there. But we're going to need a whole bunch of different options for helmets and for suits of armor and for colors and for decals on them and for our ship colors and our ship decals. So when we're there, we don't need a number or a name hovering over a head. We'll be able to know our friends just by looking at what they're wearing and how their stance is. I'd like to see that be the way that this actually works and to be stepping us into that next piece of the virtual reality games. Well, I call it virtual reality, but they're MMO, multiplayer online role-playing games. All right, so last but not least, I want to talk to you about DragonCon. DragonCon happens in Atlanta every single Labor Day weekend. It's a sci-fi fantasy convention, and a lot of people go there. It is amazing fun, and I will be there this year with CIG. Last year, Ben, David Haddock, David Ladyman, and Alex Mayberry were here, And I kind of palled around with them and helped them take care of different things like the tournaments that they had. And this year, what we're going to see is hopefully maybe Sandy and a few other people showing up. I invite you to come and join us. Come out, see what it's about. It's not just Star Citizen there. There's a lot of different genres, especially now that Star Wars is upon us again this year. You're probably going to see a ton of Star Wars and Star Trek people there. And let me tell you, last year was the first time I went, and I've been wanting to go ever since I moved to Atlanta and it started, and it was an amazing time. One thing to tell you is that hopefully, like last year, the Atlanta Gamers Guild, which is an organization on the RSI organization site, well, last year we had to get together the Thursday before everything started. This year, I'm hoping we do that again, and I'm going to try to get them to put that together, and then we could all meet and grab a beer, grab a nice cold one, and get to know each other. While I'm there, please do make sure you look at my Twitter, which is at Star Citizen AA. And find out where I am. Come and meet me, have your picture taken with me, shake my hand, get a hug, whichever one you like. All right, well, this one was a short one. I hope it was filled with a lot of information. And I just have a few more things to talk about. The first thing that I want to do is I want to thank my newest patron over at patreon.com/batgirl. And that is Michael Williams. I'm sorry I'm reading today. You can tell I'm a little bit under the weather. But Michael, thank you so much for showing confidence in me and my show and my channel to help support the channel by becoming a patron. If you too want to become a patron and help support the channel, just go out to patreon.com/Batgirl. All right, guys, that brings us to the end. And that also brings me to a couple of announcements. I will be giving away the Vanguard on Ben's Day with Batgirl and Ben this week, and I should be shooting that in about 2 hours. And that's a big deal because that marked passing the 2,500 viewer mark. I'll announce another contest at a later date as we pass more milestones. I'm not sure what that milestone is going to be right now. I said something about an average of 1,000 views per video. Of course, I only mean Star Citizen related videos. Outside of that, let's just have fun. Let's talk about the game, and I have some more ideas. And one of my biggest ideas right now is I need more questions from you for Ben's Day with Batgirl and Ben. It's your opportunity to get your question answered by Ben without having to be lucky enough for someone to pick you inside of the stream on Reverse the Verse or having to pay to be a subscriber to get your questions screened on 10 for the chairman, 10 for the artist, 10 for the devs. I look at the questions, I try to put as many in each week, and if I don't put yours in, I usually move it to the next week. Please keep them coming, as I would love to start a show once a month, talking to Lisa Ohanian or Darian, who is one of the producers out there. I think that they will bring us some insight in some areas that Ben might not be able to. And then I want to look and see who I could hook up with over at the Austin office and the Manchester office and the Frankfurt office, so I could have once in a blue moon 5 questions for them from just the everyday people. Us, the people that don't pay all that extra. Well, I do, but a lot of you don't. Well, folks, that brings us to the end. And thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate all the get well soon messages, and I'm sure I'll get some after today. I will be back again next week, I promise. Back to normal schedule, I hope. And with that said, you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.